Following a two-stop trip to the American continent, we travel to the home of endurance racing for round 3 of the Race Anywhere World Series, live here on Absolute Sim Racing. Good evening, or should I say bonsoir, everybody. My name is Craig King, and with me, as usual, is Daniel Hanover on the cameras and microphone. Tonight, we're here at the Circuit de la Sarbe, home of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Opened, of course, in 1923. Originally, it started at 17.261 kilometers. Now, though, after the years, it's gone down to 13.626 kilometers, 38 corners, roughly 19 left and 19 rights. Like Silverstone and Monaco, every corner at the track is known to all and have their own iconic meanings and moments. Going over the Dunlop chicane and down underneath the Dunlop Bridge, going to the Unideres or Mulsanne Strait, if you don't know your French, with its chicane. It's going to be a fuel battle once again.
Very much so. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, good to have you on board with us. Yeah, it is certainly, it's my favourite. One of my favourite racetracks, if not my favourite racetrack by far. I'm slightly biased. I've been lucky enough to go to Le Mans a couple of times in real world, which has been amazing. And I think that's really what started my love for it. Again, as usual, we don't know. It's going to be so very close. We've got lone qualifying today as well. 2 laps lone qualifying. They've got 15 minutes. That's it. So they do have enough time, obviously, to get 2 laps in. But once those 2 laps are up, and if you mess the first lap up, you've got one more chance. If you mess that one up, that's it. You're done. You don't have any other opportunities. So a slightly different skill that drivers have to run through today, because this is the first time we've run in this season, in the RAWS Season 1. This is the first time we have run a lone qualifying. So a little bit of a different challenge for the drivers here.
Yeah, the challenge is already just being shown as Thomas Reiter just having a spin at the Dunlop chicane there, because one of the key things is that with a lone qualifying, especially at Le Mans, you don't start in the pits and do a lap around the track. You start just before you come in to the Ford chicane. So you're down at Maison Blanche. And that means you've got colder tyres. And we can just see with some of those drivers, the cold tyres are being an effect here. So that is one to look out for. And of course, an off-track here, there's not many off-tracks. A slowdown, that's your off-track here. And with so many different places you can run to get off-tracks here on the outside of Terre Rouge, down in the chicanes, down the Mulsanne Strait, or as I say, the Unideres, of course, making mistakes out of the last corner. There is nothing more gut-wrenching than coming around the track clean and then just pushing a little bit too hard in the Ford chicane and just getting that off-track. It's not what you want to see. So hopefully we don't get that tonight. Not for the qualifying, but it's bound to happen.
Well, the problem with one of the problems with the model is obviously it's such a long circuit. What doesn't help as well though is if you do get like a slowdown or anything like that, it's very, very hot. The delta normally, because iRacing runs off of the delta is massive, and it really, really hurts you, especially coming down onto the Mulsanne Strait, for example. If you get a slowdown on the first lap at Terre Rouge, be expected to lose a minimum of 5 seconds. Minimum, that is. It's a very, very... You have to do a lot to get the off track, but if you do, to get the slowdown, but if you do, it's so difficult to then sometimes get rid of it and then come back from it as well. Because we will talk about this throughout the race, I'm sure, but this is all about tactics here. There will be, or there should be, effectively minimal racing, because what it should be instead, it should be the drivers being able to tactfully make advantages and tactfully race and pit when they need to pit when they should pit, and pit as late as they possibly can. They have got to do 2 mandatory stops, which does help with the situation. But the longer you can go and the more fuel you can save, that wins you races here.
Exactly, and this is one of those places where you'll see a lot of lifting. Expect to hear the clutch going in down into Indianapolis. Expect to hear the clutch going in a little bit later on in the lap. It's one of those places where if you don't know how to fuel save, then it's the perfect place to learn how to fuel save, especially when you think about it with the LMP1s. The old meta for the LMP1s per se around here was get an extra lap of fuel, do 13 laps on a tank instead of 12 laps on a tank. And it's not the same with the GTs, but in the same respect, if you're in so much of a sprint battle like this, because let's be real, we're talking 75 minutes at Le Mans. That in itself is a sprint race here. You have to think about what you're doing for these times and what you're doing for your fuel. And you see now the first few laps coming in. Henning Haig just sets the standard, and then Ethan Bass comes. It's going to be a weird qualifying here. We'll try and keep you up to date. But of course, with everybody sending their own times at the moment, we're not sure what we're looking for, what we're going to see. We're going to see a mixture of everybody. You know, it's Airhag has just gone fastest for the amateurs of 3:58.160, but Chris Wally just went fastest overall, as you can see. That's, well, they say that. Joachim Code just goes to 3:56.942. So we're going to be keeping our eyes on this timing tower. It's going to be hard to keep you up to date because there you go. There goes the pro driver, Sean Campbell, 3:54.949. So we're going to have just this weird combination of, we're going to see names coming in, but until we look at it, we can't tell you what class, and it's just going to hold on to your britches, I think, is the best thing to say around here. One thing I do like to say about this, which always confuses people if they've never driven on this track at iRacing, racing down the middle of the straights is faster.
Yes, it certainly is. It's the way that the camber goes. It only works on GT cars, though. It does not work in LMP2 cars. With substantial testing, we found that out. Yeah, you'll see what drivers will do here is they'll run in the middle, basically following the middle of what the road markings would be that would take out what obviously would define either side of the road. So that's what we're seeing there. You see as well how Alex Bennett was so wanting. He really, really had to bring the car back over. Okay, that slowdown, 2 wheels on the inside of that curve. If you can get 2 wheels on the inside of the curve, you can run as wide as you like. Okay, you will not get a slowdown. But if you get 2 wheels over the edge of that curve on the exit, that's when you get the slowdown. Yeah, so you'll see it, and we can see it was like Alex Bennett was just doing that. The way that the camber goes around and either side as it drops down through the midpoint of that corner, at the midpoint down the Morsan Straight, it does for some reason, one way or another, whether it's the way that the camber actually hits the tyres or there's less contact patch or whatever, but as you said, it is fun. We're talking margins here, bear in mind. Although the margins that we've got within within this league, within the RAWS, it's, I think, to be fair, it's any advantage is an advantage that is needed, I think.
Oh, definitely. I actually remember I was doing some old GTE racing on the track once before, and I think it was when the Ferrari was like the monster in the top speeds, and everyone would come here and drive. You remember those days. And unfortunately, this was in the lower splits, and I was in a BMW, and I would just go in the middle of the track, and the Ferrari would be like, I don't need to follow him. I'm going to overtake him. I'd go in the middle of the track, and all of a sudden, hang on one second, I can't overtake him. What's he doing? What's this BMW got? What wing is he? You know. So for the masses that don't know, it really is a difference, and those are the things that these drivers do know. They will see that around here, which will be vital for them. And it is margins around here. A lot of places you can lock up the tires. Not a lot in the GT3s, of course, thankfully, with the ABS and the traction control, but it's still very tough around here. We're just seeing that is the full send racing car just going around coming up to the Porsche curve, sorry. That's bad. This is one of my favorite tracks in the world.
The Ford curves?
I was going to say, what am I doing? Into the point, and down they go into the karting S's. He comes, and again, you can take a lot of that track on the inside, but when you come here into Corvette, you've got this runoff. You can only put, 2 wheels just like that, and is that a slowdown? That looked just a little... I don't know about you. That looked just on the edge.
Think got away with it. Think ever so got away with it. You can actually see it again, though. You see Harley Orton just pulling over. It looks like he's going to go in the pits, but doesn't, trying to get the straightest line possible. He's got some good purple sectors in Sector 1 and Sector 3, but I don't know if it's going to be enough as it stands at the moment. As he comes across the line, where is he going to be? Actually, do you know what? He's gone and done it. Harley Horton currently the pole position man with a 54.6. That's quick. 3/10 faster than Sean Campbell. Now, Sean Campbell does not hang about. We know that for a fact. That is very, very quick from from Harley Hornton there. Frederick Roy has just gone through up into P4 P4 in class. Actually, he's just been dropped down to P5 because Edson Manguera has gone up into that position. But whether he's going to be bumped down or not, that remains to be seen. We've got still a few people on the go. Alex Bennett is just going to come across the line. He hasn't set any green or purple sectors, but you know what? He's gone and done it as well. He's just gone ahead by less than a tenth of a second. So Alex Bennett is now on that pole position. Can Alex Gal, the only person realistically left on circuit? We actually got Robin Veerman, Frederick Podges as well. They are also actually, do you know what? Nick Labiche is looking very fast as well. I don't think Bennett is out of the woods just yet.
No, I'm just watching James Armstrong, his last laps. Sorry, both laps from James Armstrong. Invalid. That is something we weren't expecting. Alex Gao is all yellow out there. That's not a good sign for him. Nedlick is also looking strong. Harry Wills has just put the car in the wall. I'm just looking on my screen. Nothing to mention there. What is going on around here at the moment? We're just going to see these times. It's nip and tuck at the moment. We don't see a lot of drivers waiting. Harley Horton and Kaz Huguenot. Now, that's Kaz Huguenot for a 3:54.878. Harley Horton as well. We saw that time. This is something you've got to remember. We're not looking at these massive times. Like, we didn't see purples in Alex Bennett's timing tower there. But they were consistently fast. And that's all you need here. It's not a case of fastest sections here. It's just about stringing the perfect lap. But we're talking about that. Nick Labush at the moment is going fast. He is going really well at the moment as he comes down into the Porsche curves. I got it right this time. The Urano driver, the pro driver, is heading forward. And you can just see we have lost it just at the moment with other cars going green as well. But Nick Labush is on for a good time.
He certainly is. So this is where you've got to be. The Ferrari is stable, especially with the Evo now, it's even more stable. Like, the Ferrari's always been that car that you just drive because it's easier to drive. It's one of the easier cars, and it just works. Like, it's just it's a very much an all-around package. That was a little bit wide there. Now, I don't know. Again, I think Nick got away with it there, but it's going to have to be close. He's got two purple sectors on the go at the moment. James Warren is in P11. If he can hold it, it's going to be close, but he might very well do it, you know. Very, very clean through the forward chicane. Just going to take him maybe a fraction more curb, but is it actually going to make a difference? Is he still going to do it? Comes across the line. Do you know what? I think that was invalid. That was an invalid time.
Nick Labush as well. And Nick Labush, out of nowhere, we thought he was doing well, and he had an invalid final section. And he had to tow, and he decided not to go. He's not got any time to do another lap, unfortunately. There's 3 minutes remaining. I don't think he'll get this in. Everybody's just finishing off here. That timing tower at the bottom is not correct because he did tow. So ignore what he does here. He's just going to use this for practice time at the moment. I think that's what everybody's using this for at the moment. I think Frederick Podges might be the last driver. But in terms of, as we just see Veerman just going across the line, in terms of the top drivers, I think this might be it. I think we may have seen everybody here, and it's a very big mixture. It's a very big mixture around here. Just look at the lights there. Sauerberg is faster than a lot of drivers at the moment with that 3:57.085, and he's an amateur driver. And then you've got some of the pros and the pro-ams mixed together. It's a very mixed bag at the moment.
It certainly is. Very, very true. Where is Frederick Podges going to come through? Just takes the car on the inside nicely. Good transition there over the curb. That's just going to be a quick lap as long as he can hold it through, which I think he has. Green sectors all around. That's certainly going to put him a bit further up the field. Where does it put him? Unless that was another invalid lap. Another invalid lap. There's Mars Furtwängler. He's decided that he's had enough. Martin... again, apologies. Martin Nedjedlik. There we go. Well, we'll get that in the end. First half of the lap, looking good. Second half of the lap, he is down in the orange, but could the first sectors have helped him with that? He's only got to make 2 or 3 tenths, and then he's up, and he'll be splitting Sean Campbell and Alex Gal. So is it going to be... Lamborghini's always a little bit more touchy, especially when going through the medium to high-speed corners, such as the Porsche curves. Ironically, the Porsche is one of the most difficult cars to drive through Porsche curves, which I always find quite ironic. But a couple more corners to go. Corvette, again, was solid, nice and controlled. Coming down to the final chicane, the Ford chicane. Takes the first curb, takes the second, absolutely perfectly. Again, how much curb does he want to take? He really pushes the car over it. Is it going to be a time that is going to put him up from P6, or is it going to be another invalidated lap? And do you know what? It's another invalidated lap.
No,
you know, I
it
think
was
that's
valid. It was valid, but it
was
not
valid.
fast
It wasn't
enough.
faster.
It was not fast enough. Yeah,
Oh, I mean, it was 300s.
975.
300ths of a second. Wowzers.
Absolutely crazy.
Ironically, the same time as well between Campbell and Gal is also the same time between Campbell and Nedjadek. So I was 200ths of a second. I don't think I can't necessarily describe how close that is around Le Mans. It's a how many kilometers? Is it like a
13 kilometers?
That is a ridiculous. On the basis of that would be like around a track at Road America. That would be like 1,000th. It's so close. That's unbelievably close. The fact as well that the looking as well, Joachim Claude, he's actually gone through and taken the pole position for the Pro-Am category, and then we got Terji Asatnhaug has taken the pole position for the Am category as well. So again, some certainly quick times here as well from all drivers, which is great. Qualifying has just finished, so we will bring up the results for the qualifying, and then we'll be going through into the race. But my goodness, that has really turned us in. Have a quick look out for, because Nick Labish and Nick Madsen, two very, very fast drivers. So is Harry Wills. So is Svert Wangler. There's a few drivers that haven't qualified here that we really need to watch out for coming through the field.
Yeah, and that is also going to be a scary moment as well. The start of the race is always going to be quite I wouldn't know what the right word is, but it's worrying around here at the start, because you've got to remember around here it's at the opening of the race is going to be very different, because the moment you take an off track on the first lap, that's a long time you've got to be waiting for to go, and that means a longer time. You're going to pull to one side. A driver may not know that. You're going to get free wides on the first lap. It's going to be chaotic. In previous World Series before this, we have seen incidents, and it's a shame that incidents happen around here, but they happen. And hopefully, knock on wood, that these incidents do not happen, because it's one of those events where you can't have a safety car around here, unlike other tracks, because of the gaps. You can now see those times coming up. And just look at, like we were saying, look at those that did not set a time. Nicholas Debush, Nick Madsen, James Armstrong, Mats Furtwängler, Harry Wills. One of those guys is leading the championship. Just to let you know, just one of them is leading the championship. The others, they're nowhere. They're still in the top 10. There's only 25 points between first and eighth, but some of those drivers are battling for those positions. So to see to see less than a second gap between the top 6 around this type of track is really interesting to see. I'm really looking forward to what we're going to see. We saw almost an 8-car train the last 2 races. Are we going to see that again?
We might see even more. Genuinely, we might see even more. If people are savvy with their position, we've got your Pro-Am results here. So you've got Joachim Code, Sven-Jan Matheson, and Will Richardson are your top 3. But again, it's so close. The entire grid separated by 2.6 seconds. And that time will come down as well. That's the other key thing. So the time will certainly come down. So that's your Pro-Am field. And then going through into your Am category as well. There we are there. So again, so very close. Ingo Lapson, unfortunately not able to set a time. But Sattenberg and Timms and Pedrao are your top 3 for the Am category. I honestly wouldn't be expected if we see 10, 12 car trains. It's just, if you start battling, and again, from our perspective, this is going to be... I don't like to say this in a way because I love Le Mans so much, but if the grid are wanting to really push the wind, if anything, they don't want to race each other until the last, 2 laps, because that is when you know full well that all your positions have been gained. You're not going to be gaining or losing anymore in pit stops because they've all been completed. That is when it's right, knuckle down, crack on. Until that point, though, I wouldn't be racing at all. I would be saving as much fuel as I possibly could to go as late as I possibly could as well.
And we saw that in Indianapolis as well, where we started. The first 30, 40 minutes was that long train. But it was interesting to see after that first pit stop how people were just varying their fuel, how much they stayed. And you could see those that stayed and some that didn't and went to go for a different strategy. And after the first pit stop, we had a train of 8 get turned into a train of 2 or a train of 3. And then that split after the next pit stop. So, of course, both pit stops are going to be interesting to see. But it's going to be that first pit stop that might determine what happens here. It's going to be one of those just to have an idea of what's going on. So I just very like it. Ethan Bass just told me one of the things. He's got Golf Racing orange wheels. A little bit of when he had the Golf GT2 around here for the Ford, because he's a Ford driver. Just a little bit of a heads up there. Have got a couple of a heads up we'll be talking about later in the race. But these pit stops are going to be crucial because it's also one of the longest pit lanes in motor racing. I think the longest pit lane aside from Le Mans would be the endurance pits at Spa. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Think possibly.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I've always called this a long pit stop, mainly just because you're not in the pit lane for a long time. We're not in your box for a long time. You're in the lane for a long time. So it promises to be very interesting when it comes to that. So we are waiting for the session to go up. By the way, shout out once again to the main sponsors, Race Anywhere, providing once again fantastic sim racing equipment at raceanywhere.co.uk. Sim rigs, monitor stands, sim equipment, driving equipment, pedals, you name it, they've got it. Except my CSL DD, which is coming elsewhere. But that's another story for another day. But yes, Race Anywhere. Fantastic sponsor. Great to see. While we wait for the session, it's going to be a bit of a shorter night, of course. It's not a long qualifying. I think we'll take a break and we will be back because it's going to take a while for everyone to get into the session, as everyone knows, with Le Mans. So we'll just take a break while we start getting loaded in, and we'll be back with you, hopefully in the next 10 minutes, with the race. So stick around. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Absolute Sim Racing here with round 3 of the Race Anywhere World Series at the Circuit de la Sarthe, aka Le Mans. We've had our qualifying. We're just having a little bit of a practice, and I'm having fun. I got to point this out. I'm having fun looking at a Michael Patterman's car. There's something special on the back of his car today. I don't know if we can pick it up somewhere, because there's something very special on the back of that car with Michael Patterman that I think we really should address. Don't you think, Dan?
Very much so, yes. I think we're certainly going to be addressing that. We are just about to, as you say, going through the final stages of the warm-up session. So let us have a look and see if we can get something sorted and see if we can get a nice camera angle. That will be coming in a few moments' time. We'll get that up in a few moments' time. So do not worry, that will be coming. But yes, a nice little surprise, isn't it, there, Craig?
Yeah, I always like a bit of surprises here. A nice little bit of fun. Remember, the sim racing community, we're always working together and having some fun together. So it's always good to see. I think you can see down here. I love Le Mans. It doesn't matter what sim, it doesn't matter what simcade, what game, whatever. It's fantastic. I started my love with this in 1997 with Le Mans on the PlayStation, and I think there is Michael Patterman. I'll go through that story again. Oh, what's that on the back, I wonder? Is that... Oh, look at that. Look at that, just on the back, and a lovely little move. Yes, that is Just Married. Congratulations, of course, to Michael Patterman and his now wife, who was her wife Doris, they tied the knot last Friday. So I think they had a little bit of fun there. It's always nice when everyone gets the old Just Married on the back of a car, or on the back of a sim car, especially a BMW GT3. Why not? Why not? That's fantastic to see. Congratulations to the two of you, of course, and all the best in your future together. Cannot wait. I'm sure you two cannot wait. The checkered flags is now flown. We can't wait for this start. Going to be very, I want to say, peaceful for a Le Mans race, thanks to the starting procedures of the World Series. We're not going to see chaos at the Ford chicanes at the start of this race. It is going to be a little bit more peaceful here. That's what we hope, Dan.
Well, we certainly do. We certainly do hope so, as you say. We will go through that in a few moments. But let us run you through the grid. We're going to do the top 10 of each category. We haven't got very long before the grid does get going. So on your pole position and overall for the top 10 for your pro category, we've got Alex Bennett, Harley Horton, Cass Huguenot, Alex Gall, Sean Campbell, Martin Nedelik, Victor Yowan. We then have Robin Veerman, Milan Tikan, Stuart Reynolds, Frederick Projedz, Augusto Cassiami. So that is your... Actually, we'll go through the top 12. So that was your top 12 for the Pro categories as well. A little bit further down, you can see everyone just getting... I tell you what, we'll go through the whole field. Why the hell not? Danny Rates, Nicola Bish, Max Vertvangler, Nick Madsen, Harry Wills, James Armstrong. Unfortunately, a lot of those drivers not able to set some times, but let us keep an eye out for them when they start moving through the field. The pros are just about to go, so we will go through nice and quickly. Joaquin Code for pole in the Pro Am category. Sven-Jan Matheson, Will Richardson, Cody Pride, Albin Kellberg, Ethan Bass down into P24 overall. Daniel Sedgley, P25. Eric Benson in 26. Thomas Reiter, 27th. Thomas Dandridge in P28. Chris Wally in 29th. And Michael Patman, 30th. Valentin Amblard and Chris Chatterton, P31, P32, with Daniel Gilding for Nomad Sim Racing in P33. And then in the AM categories, we have, that is Terji As Sauterhag in P34, Dean Timms, P35 overall and second in class, then Francois Pedrao in P36, taking the third place for qualifying in the AM category. Then we have Dylan Kinch, Simon Dodd, Edson Manguera, Frederick Roy, Henning Haug, Magda Jodland, Ola Sankvist, James Warren, Werner S., Dave Meakin, and Ingo Lapsy. And that is your 47-car grid here for round number 3 of the Race Anywhere World Series first season at Le Mans. Oh, I am very, very excited. Just as a refresher as well, Sean. Craig, do you want to go through, if you could, if possible, the starting procedures, just to give everyone that information?
Yeah, as the tricolor starts flying over as they come up to the Ford chicane, they will not go on the green flag. They go in a launch zone, a starting zone that the leader of each class dictates. So they cannot even go. They can't even go free wide or anything. They will go when that leader goes. So if you see the green flag, which we will see, that is not an indicator of when we start going racing. Alex Bennett controls them, and they will be coming around the Ford chicane. There's the first one. Into the second, the pace car will dart in now. You'll hear the pace car go in, and they wait. He's going to hold them all. And you know what? Harley Horton's got a bit too early. And that may be a little bit of chaos there. Alex Bennett's going to use this with advantage, and there he goes. He guns it, and this is going to be chaotic now. There's 3 wide in the second row of this race. You can see Gao and Huguenot battling there. Nedlick is right behind. This is going to be a little bit dicey as they go in. That is the 50 of Huguenot just making moves. That is Sean Campbell going off. Sean Campbell is off at the first corner. We've also got another spinner as well. That looks like it is Milan Tekin. It is Milan Tekin. Sean Campbell returns, did not take any damage. They're still battling side by side. Babush is making moves though, and that is one to keep an eye out as the Pro-Am start their way.
Certainly do. Let us jump aboard with the Pro-Ams. Joachim Code and Svenja Mattisson. They get a good start. I tell you what, though, we've already got... Code has actually pulled out already about a 3/10 gap. A little bit further down, we've got Daniel Sedgwick going to go side by side. Oh, that was a late lunge. Well, I thought that was a bit of a lunge there from from Cody Pride, but doing really well. Has a bit of a sideways moment, though. Will Richardson's going to have a very, very good run if he can manage it. Don't think so. Look at Ethan Bass in the Ford. He's getting involved as well. You've also got Albin Kjellberg in the Ferrari, and then there is a bit of a gap a little bit further down. Chris Wally, and that is as well. Michael Patterman are going to have a bit of side-by-side action. They all seem to maintain their position at the moment, so Patterman stays ahead for the moment. He's already gained 2 positions, bear in mind, so good start from the number 75. Can he make up any more? Let's go through and see what's happening with the AM category as well. Look at that. Sadanag has already gone through. They've already come down to Tete Rouge.
Yeah, they've already got to Tete Rouge. It's been pretty clean and tidy for the amateurs. You've got Sayerhug just making an early start here, but Dean Timms in P2 will be starting to follow them as well. He's got Francois Pedrero behind him as well, and Dylan Kidge. They'll have to keep an eye out there because there are some Lamborghinis in this place, and Pedrero realizes, because I think Pedrero wants to make a move on Dean Timms, but I think he's just going to take it a bit differently here. Youngland is, well, they're all just holding on and just waiting, and it's kind of the same when you look at the pros, because you look at this gap right here. Bennett and Gao have just launched out of everywhere. Nedlick and Horton are having a nice little battle here. There's some big gaps already in the pro field, and at the back of the pro field, it's all bunched up. You can just see this 5-car, 6-car train just at the back trying to grab on there. That's James Armstrong, Nick Madsen, Kalasimi, Burt Wangler, Wills, Campbell, and then Stuart Reynolds just missing out there. But you can just see this massive train already growing in some of these fields.
Yeah, so Alex Bennett and Alex Gowser, they've both made the jump. It's exactly what they wanted to do. They've pulled a gap of 1.8 seconds. At this point, they just need to now just pull a gap and continue and work together at this point. A little bit further down, the battle on your screen now, James Armstrong versus Nick Madsen. There's a bit of contact, a very, very small amount of contact. You've also got that's Augusto Kakiyami getting involved as well, or trying to get involved as well, but nothing as of yet. So teammate has to drop back a little bit. Oh, there's a spin in the background. Who was that? That was Milan Tikans that's had a spin. A little bit further down, he is going to drop another position, possibly to Nick Labiche as he comes through. Sean Campbell is trying to make his way back through the field. So is Harry Wills after not having set a qualifying time. So bit of a shame, again, for early on these couple of Lindströms. Early on, that has not helped the situation for some of these drivers. Francois Pedrao, I think, has had a small moment, whether he's got involved in a bit of contact, possibly. Dean Timso is going to go for the lead, straight up the inside, no messing about on the first lap, going down into Indianapolis, and he's got a half a second gap on Saturday. That was a fantastic move, very well timed. And not much defending I didn't see from the number 98 of Satterhout. I wonder again, this is where the tactfulness comes in. At this point, I think Dean Timms, if he can pull away, fantastic stuff. Absolutely what you want to do. Although, got to be a little bit careful. If he is not able to pull away, I would seriously consider letting the position back and letting Sadhab maintain that position or not fighting any other movements on the way back and save the fuel. Again, we'll talk about this. I will talk about this till the cows come home. Fuel saving will win you races here. So this order you see now, it will not necessarily be the order. It could be very, very different come the end of the race.
Yeah, and remember when you see on that timing tower, if you see yellow, that is times gaps under a second. If you see orange, that's gaps under half a second. And there's a lot of orange, as you'd expect around here at the moment. It's almost right to here with the Pro-Ams. Not really looked a lot at the Pro-Ams at the start of the race. You just see the Panda Racing. He is trying to catch onto the back of Ethan Bass and that forward, but he's got Eric Benton behind, and he's got his own little thing. They're elongated trains at the moment. They're not all bunched up. And of course, they'll come to the proper racing part, the proper racing track part of Le Mans, which is here at the start, going through the Dunlop chicane and down into the Etterterre Ridge and all that there. They will do their best. We're just going to see just quick replay here. This is Robert Veerman here, and you can just see they were going too wide. A little bit of confusion in some of the drivers, and he's just going to miss he's just going to miss it. He's going to have to run the tyres there at the first chicane. Not what you want to see at the moment. And look at Sean Campbell trying to battle his way right through. It is a tough deal, and he's got a slowdown. He has a slowdown. You can just see, and that is not what he wants. He'll go from one train to the other. And really, you don't want to be train hopping here. You want to be in one train. He'll be slowing down. He will now have to pick up Frederick Poches and Danny Ratz on their train. Not what you want to see. And he's having to slow down some more. Meanwhile, Nick Madsen battling with James Armstrong. He keeps that position at the moment. Can he hold on to this? It's going to be tough. He will hold on. That's not what you want to see right now. I don't think you want to be battling. Ideally, as much as you don't want to get the position up, sometimes it might be better to just be in the back and let somebody else take the lead at the train so you can do some fuel saving.
Again, absolutely. You've got to be controlled. You've got to be precise, and you've got to be making sure that you're tactful with your movements. Thomas Reiter, though, thinks he's going to have it. He might want to try and have a bit of a look over Ethan Bass, and do you know what? I think he's gone and done it. So that is a position gained for Thomas Reiter. But again, Ethan Bass, he's now got an opportunity to fuel save. Why would you not? You've got a perfect position. Harry Wills is moving further up the field. You've got to be at a point as well. Like, if you feel you are quicker, absolutely make the overtake. If it's going to be costing you more time to sit behind, then 100% make the overtake. Why would you not? But you've got to be very, very committed on that position. And is it going to be? So Harry Wills then backs out of that position. Thought it was going to be made on Max Verwangler, but instead Porsche is very, very fast in a straight line that we saw just then. As soon as Harry Wills pulled out a slipstream, Porsche it sort of took off a little bit. So Verwangler running must be running some pretty low wing as it currently stands. Down we're going to go now, all the way down to as they come into Morzine Corner. This is a bit of a battle here, isn't it? This is Ingo Lapsien, Wout S and Frederik Voy that are having a good old battle here down in the AM field. And again, you can see just up there, it's just the sea of orange. Dean Timms has actually still maintained his half a second to 6/10 of a second gap, which is good. He needs to try and maintain that gap. And again, was he going to pull away? That remains to be seen. If he's got the pace, he needs to pull away realistically in somewhere like the Porsche curves. That's where you need to try and pull away over that 1.5 second, which is your that's the barrier for your toe, and that's the barrier for the slipstream.
Yeah, that is your barrier. Yeah, that's the barrier you want to be keeping to. You want to make sure you stay in that, especially not just for speed, but just to be able to just have that, well, to have that speed so you can fuel save a bit and not lose a lot of time. And this massive train at the back of the amateur field is fantastic to watch. You can just see there's battling everywhere. Of course, there is work together. Now, Milan Tikins, has he had another moment here? Ooh, what's on earth just happened there? And tell me, I thought that was a close one there, but losing the car, go straight into the wall then. Not sure what's happened. There could be some hardware failure. We'll wait and see. Just watching here, that is a slow-mo car that's gone wide at Porsche. It's Jonlin. Jonlin's gone wide at Porsche. Lapsien goes through. Now, Werner S, he cannot make a move here. You never really want to make a move in the Porsche curves. Into the karting S's they go, and now into Corvette. If he gets a good run here out of Corvette, you know what? The car in front, Lapsien, I think that's a slowdown from Ingo Lapsien in front of these guys. We'll wait and see. Usually the best way to get a server slowdown here is to wait until after the 4 chicane. I personally like to serve it before or during the 4 chicane. We'll wait and see. Is that gap closing? Does Lapsien pull to one side here? Not entirely sure. He got away with it. I honestly thought that was a slowdown, but regardless, Frederick Roy in the pits already. Now, he can't go 2 stops from here. Anyway, Nick Labiche, championship leader, joint championship leader now. Let's look at what he's doing. And he's having a little bit of a challenge.
Oh, Harry Wills gone wide. Harry Wills has lost some positions. He's going to lose 3 or 4 positions, actually, because he's going to get absolutely lunched. There he is. And he's going to lose it. Well, he's lost, what, 3, 4 positions? Unfortunately, it looked like he just went a little bit too deep going into the first of the chicanes on the Mulsanne straight. That has cost him big time. Frederick Poitiers is trying to go up the inside of Max Vertwangler. Porsche versus Porsche. Who is going to come out on top? It's definitely going to be Porsche. We know that for a fact. And it is going to be, I believe that is indeed Poitiers making that move on Vertwangler. So up into P10 does go the number 88 Delta V Racing Porsche. But now he's got to possibly have the Wrath of Vertwangler trying to come back. Sean Campbell not too far behind as well. Bear in mind, he's lost 7 positions so far with his lap 1 incident. And that was a little bit there. Vertwangler going to try to get the inside, do exactly a carbon copy of what happened to him a couple of corners ago. And that's also going to look up the inside for Sean Campbell. He's gone, thank you very much. He's going to need no second invitation. And then look at that as well. That's Vertwangler giving him a bit of a tow. Manages to get in front of Poitiers as it stands, but now this is where the Delta V Porsche, he's going to have, you see Sean Campbell darts to the outside, naturally as you would, riding now on board. This is just going to go 3 wide. That's a bit brave, chaps. I wouldn't do that if I were you, but they're going to give it a go anyway. Oh, that was close. Wow, that is close. Whoa, Sean Campbell has a moment.
He got a tweak at Campbell. Oh, heavy hit to the tile wall. Oh, he caught Labiche. Nick Labiche got caught in that a little bit. I'm not sure how much damage. I saw it grazing there on Labiche's car. Thankfully, that nothing serious. That was close, and that was not caused by the free wide. I think Campbell just lost it on that outside there, and that could have been so much worse. And I'm just hoping, for the sake of Labiche, he doesn't have any damage. It looked like he grazed it. 3 wide down in Indianapolis. Look at this. It doesn't work, lads. And they managed to pull out of it. And Campbell, I think, he just got unlucky. That is such a shame for Campbell here. And you just see...
Oh, you just see it.
Said no. Oh, that tweak. I know from a BMW, as a BMW driver, that is something you never want to see. This is something I like to see, though. Daniel Gilding with a huge train once again. I mean, we're going to be saying that over and over again. Look at it. This is Ethan Bass, Daniel Stedgley, Michael Patterman, Daniel Gilding, Chris Wally, and that's it for the moment. And we're looking all the way through. This is 6 cars in the Pro-Ams, in the middle of the Pro-Ams. Oh, the dirty air. I can't even think about the dirty air through the Porsche curves.
Oh, it's horrible, isn't it? It must be absolutely atrocious. Chris Chatterton has gone off. Where has Chris Chatterton gone off? I'm not 100% sure. But either way, we're going to see a replay of that if we can do. But that seemed to be a pretty hefty hit. Harley Horn's next in the pits. So he has had a moment also as well.
Penalty.
It was a penalty. Well, there we go for jumping.
Yeah.
For jumping the start, not ideal, especially when you've got a track like this. That's it, pretty much game over, unfortunately. This is just sort of damage limitation at its best. You're going to have to see again what sort of damage limitation that you can manage, but we'll have to see. So Ethan Bass is currently now leading this train, I would say. You've got Benson a little bit up the road, but I think realistically, I mean, it's 8/10 of a gap, 8/10 of a second. Thomas Wright is just up there as well. So I think realistically, Ethan Bass is sort of leading that train of sort of 5 cars now. Let's just have a quick look, because Thomas Jandrich has had a moment. I'm intrigued to see what happened here. Is it? I can see a port. No, okay, it's Lamborghini on the outside. Is it going to be what I think it is? A bit too much on the brakes. Car kicks. There we go. Over the curb. Well, hey, that was close. That was a little bit... I'm sure there's going to be... Thomas Jandrich's going to need a new race suit after that. Chris Chatterton has also had a moment, so let's see what happened here, because this... Oh dear, well that's not going to help, is it? Because the steering wheel is currently not pointing in a straight line, even before entering the Porsche curves. I think that's... it's never going to work, is it?
Oh, then he gets completely stuck. No, not sure what happened there. We'll have to wait and see. There are some moves going on. Kjellberg there trying to make moves. Meanwhile, in that little train we just looked at, Michael Patterman gets a position up as well, but this in the lead train. You've got the lead train and you've got the second train at the moment for the Pro-Ams. And this lead train at the moment is just having their way. But Kjellberg's got Cody Pride right behind him. And Cody thought about it. Cody thought about it, but then realized it's not worth it. Let's just take a little bit of time. Let's just wait. And he's left it about 2 times during this. And look at it. That is Whacking Code. Svenny Matters being the way, sorry. What about Whacking Code? Whacking Code has Will Richardson. Behind him is Alvin Shelburne, then Cody Pride. And you can just see they're 5 seconds ahead of the other group. And really, I think they've just stayed in this form since the start of the race. And they've realized that it's probably better to just stay where they are compared to this other group, which is starting to lose them a little bit. I don't know how you can lose a Ford, not with a BMW, but it just shows. I do find the BMW, it's an interesting car around here. And Padaman's gone hard into the Mulsanne corner. That probably would show why it's a tough car around here.
Let's see if we can get a... we'll go back to that battle in a few moments. One of the battles that I was just looking at as well was a little bit further up. So Purchase has actually just got past Cassiami through up into P8. So it's good to see Purchase really sort of making some moves and moving up the field with some good pace as well. So very very nice to see indeed. Coming down into the AM category as well. This is still a battle very much for the lead. And it's still continuing on. You've got Dean Tibbs. Chris Wally's had a moment. Chris Wally has had a moment. Is it going to be... Actually, you know what? It's not even a moment. It's just battling. It is simply hard battling between Valentin Amblad, Michael Patzman, and Chris Wally. It's just absolutely relentless. Yeah, so that was the lead that you just saw there with Dean Timms. That was Timms, Sauterhaug, and Kinch all battling within that third place. If I was to be a person, I'd want to be Kinch in that situation because I have a double toe. Providing they're not slowing each other down too much, I mean, you're golden as far as I'm concerned. You can save so much fuel, but you do have to make sure, like I said, you're not costing yourself too much time, and you can balance that out with the fuel saving. A little bit of damage on the front of Wally's car, so the Eclipse Racing team, the number 28, and that will be costing him. But there's the dirty air. There is the dirty air that we're all so very much used to here. Nick Labiche in the pits. Interesting stuff. I wonder if that's to repair some damage.
It might be. It would be interesting to see what happened. He did have some damage on there 15 minutes into the race. It's going to be very hard. Yeah, I do see some damage on the front of that car. I've got to be brutally honest, and that is fresh damage. So it would not surprise me if he's gone in. You know, he's got a bent steering. He has bent steering. Looking at his cockpit, that is definitely bent steering for Nick Labiche. So no idea what's happened there with him. But Alex Bennett still leading the way. The two Alexes, you cannot separate these two no matter what track it is. They're not the same team either. Alex Bennett, Alex Gal, they cannot be separated. They continue to just be together. And they've got a 3-second lead over Nedelik, who's in P3 of course. And they're just having their own way at the moment. They're not putting in the super fast laps. Their last lap times were 53.54.1, 3.54.3. But you can see Alex doesn't want to go aggressive. Alex doesn't want to go aggressive. They're both holding on there. When I said Alex, I thought, hey, I was thinking, which Alex? Well, neither of them are going aggressive. They're just holding their own at the moment. And that's what you want to see. They're 3 seconds ahead. If they start to see that gap start to close, they're not too worried. I think Alex Bennett is just allowing Alex Gal to save fuel because he's also just taking it easy at the moment. And that almost looks like he just had a little bit of a lift going into the Mulsanne corner.
I think realistically, like Alex Gal is in the perfect position here because Bennett's got some pace. We know that for an absolute fact. As I'm going to interrupt myself here because this is going to be Furtwängler versus Cassiami. He was going to be just about. Furtwängler was taking some liberties there going into Mulsanne corner. Wowzers. Fair play as well to Cassiami, who just about left enough room. I mean, how close that was, I really don't know. And in fact, I want to have a quick look. There's not going to be a position gain. I think Cassiami's a little bit too far back. But I just want to have a look from the nose cone of this is. So we want to go on to Cassiami here. Let's just have a look at how close we see. Actually, it wasn't as close as I thought. I'm going to take that back. That was completely, that was just a fair move. It didn't look like it was anything at all. So ignore me. That was, I was getting excited, not much. But either way, very, very good move there. And I think, you know what, actually as well, Furtwängler has lost the position back to Cassiami. So, and yes, he has. I wonder, was there a bit of a send going into Possibly.
Yeah, there was a sentence into Indianapolis. They just saw James Armstrong hit the wall at Indianapolis, making a mistake. And it does look like, no, I'll tell you what it was. It was Katsuyami making a better exit there. And Furtwängler just had no response. He had a very slow exit there.
He jumped. He put wheel on the grass. Put wheel on the dirt.
Yeah, he put wheel on the grass. But also James Armstrong just before them losing the card there and smashing the car into the wall. Heavy damage. And unfortunately, he's now in the pits as well. So Le Mans is claiming some victims today, as unfortunately claiming some cars and wheels. But this battle here, it's very nice to see. And look at this, Thomas Reiter just leading away this battle, this second train. We've got Eric Benson in front, Ethan Bath behind, Daniel Sedgley and Valentin Amblad. They're trying to hold it. It looks like they're in, but they're not in the toe just yet. They're slowly getting it. And that won't bother Ethan. He's got a double toe. Daniel Sedgley would love that toe. He's just barely missing it. So it's going to be careful. We're 20 minutes into the race. Pit window will probably open next lap. It sounds weird, next lap, but it is almost 4 minutes around here for these drivers. Always going to remember that. It's one of those fantastic things about this track, that it's never over until it's over. So that just goes to show, and Reiter is just holding on, and he is holding on Ethan Bass as well. He was fast, he was a 3:56.1, but in front of him was Eric Benson, who did a 3:55.4. So times are starting to show. It's 24 Celsius, of course. Daniel Gilding, though, look at what he's got to look at right now. I would not want to be Daniel Gilding. Well, I would like to be Daniel Gilding, but one mistake, I probably wouldn't want to be Daniel Gilding.
Yeah, I think Daniel Gilding's got to. You saw him lifting pretty heavily into turn one. He's got Patterman just behind. I think everyone has settled down at this point now. People have settled down. They know realistically that they've tried to make up some positions. Sometimes, again, for some people, it has absolutely worked. Other people, it hasn't. Either way, though, as we look on it, we are seeing now people get to that sort of stage of being a bit more reserved on their racing opportunities. Frederick Devoy, he had a bit of a moment. I'm guessing that was, you know what I'm going to bet? I reckon that's going to be on the brakes, over the curb, and then a small moment. Or is it actually manages? Yeah, so I reckon it's going to be over the curb. Let's have a look and see what it is. Is it going to be? And there we go. That is something. Do you know why I know that? It's because I've done that many times myself. That is why I know that that happened. Because it's so very common. You've got to be very, very careful. What happened, though? Eric Benson has had a moment somewhere. This is coming down into the second. Oh, hello. That was just a little bit too... he was racing. That would be why. Yeah. And that would be Ethan... That wasn't Ethan Bass. Couldn't see who that was.
There was no contact. And just behind them was another incident behind them as well, with a little bit of contact. That's Valentin Amblad. You'll just see it now on the replay, and it just looks like there was just trying to go for it. And, yeah, just started turning in. Not really sure who to apportion blame to there. Just one of those things. But here's a 2x2 at the moment. That's Werner S there. Right beside him is Ingo Lapsian. What is going to happen as they come down into Mulsanne 2? Werner looks like he wants to make the move here, and they're braking at the same time. They're going to try and turn in 2x2 here. 2x2 does not work, and Werner realizes this. He's going to try and sling back. It's not going to work. He's going to tuck himself back in once again. Nice defense there from Ingo at Lapsian. Some fantastic driving by both of them. They realized the situation. They realized they couldn't do it. They both gave each other room. But Werner will have to try and go around the outside here, down into Mulsanne corner. Never a good thing. We're just watching Henning Haig. I'm just watching this at the moment. Can they hold on? You know, Werner's going to try this. Again, the BMW at that corner says no every time. Trust me, I've driven the BMW around here a few times. That's not a nice corner to try and do, even if you're not too wide. That is such a hard corner.
Speaking of too wide, there was going to be Henning Haig and Simon Dodd, teammate to Dean Timms in the Ferrari, versus one of the Team Slow-Mo cars. Gets a little bit wide. That's going to open the door possibly for Simon Dodd. He looks out to the inside, going into Arnaud. Does he make the move? He has to give room. Is there room given by Henning Haig? There is just about, but he manages to carry the momentum round the outside. Let's have a look at Francois Pedrao. He's not too far back. Is he going to try? He's got front row seats to whatever is going to happen down here. Although, going now into Porsche curves. This is where it's single file pretty much. You can be very, very brave and try and go too wide. A lot of the time, it does not work, so you do have to be a little bit careful. But Drago, so you can just see again having to work the steering a bit more, having to put a bit of additional lock on. Best way as well, this is a bit of a tip for everyone as well, if you are finding yourself in a bit of dirty air, chances are you will need to pull your turning point back ever so slightly, so a fraction earlier. A couple of meters perhaps is all you'll need, but that will be enough to compensate for any loss. And you will have to find that the higher the downforce, the faster you go, the more you will have to adjust. So a little bit of a tip there as well. So you have to compensate for that. As pretty much everyone of the last half of the pro field and all pretty much of the pro am field. Actually, no, saying that, Joaquin Code, Albin Kelber, Richardson, Sedgley, Wally, none of them are coming into the pits. So they're going an extra lap. Now, this extra lap, okay, this is a roundabout. If my maths is correct, which it probably is not, then I'm going to put a guess and say it's around about 4.5 seconds saved, providing you can save the fuel and you can go an extra lap. May not be too much of a difference here, but it's more so after the second pit stop.
Yeah, and of course it also is a challenge to not only just save that fuel, but be able to make this lap go around. You can see the leaders deciding not to. I wonder if it was a reactionary move by one of the drivers and people just wanted to follow just for the sake of making sure they were together in the trains. It'll be interesting to see what happens to that back train here. But Alex Bennett and Alex Gao continue to have this just long time holding hands together. I mean, we're going to have to keep eyes on these two because you can't separate them. It's like the two troublemakers in school. You know they're always together. You've got to find a way to split them up, but they'll always be together, and all for the good. That they're just going to continue down the road here. They will be coming into the pits. I was pretty right with the prediction there, I must be honest. I said it was going to be the next lap. It was the next lap. So they will continue to go, and that is not a too wide moment whatsoever. That's just different lines. I wouldn't say it's cooling the engine because these engines don't overheat so much, but one thing I've got to address is we look at it. It's Lamborghini, a couple Ferraris, a lot of Lamborghinis out there today. I am surprised at that. I did not think the Lamborghini had the top speed here. We know the Ferrari doesn't have the top speed like it used to. It used to be the car that basically just went anywhere. But to see basically a string of Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and then a couple Porsches, I don't know, that kind of surprised me if I've got to be honest.
Lamborghinis are strong. I mean, they're probably, again, like the BMW. It's definitely got a good amount of pace into it. But at the same time, as we see Kelber try and have a bit of a look, decide to get into it. This is the battle for the lead, bear in mind, in the Pro-Am category. So very much still alive is this battle, as we've got a couple of battles a little bit further down as well. Yeah, Lamborghinis, they are a strong car. The BOP that happens after the end of every season or the start of every new season for iRacing, it always gives you a little bit here, a little bit there. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, as they say, which in the gods of the gods of iRacing that be decide the BOP for everyone, obviously. But yeah, it just seems that we do have the Lamborghini's a strong car. It's a strong contender. The Ferrari is always there or thereabouts. We know that for a fact, and obviously Alex Gall is predicting that absolutely perfectly. They all are in the pits now. You can see the top four. So you've got Bennett, Gull, Nedelik, and Huguenot are all in the pits. Where will they come out? It's going to be a late pit stop, isn't it? It's going to be they're going to come out relatively early. Where is it? So Bennett hasn't left the pits yet. Interestingly enough, I thought that they'd be leaving the pits a little bit earlier than they have done. Stuart Reynolds now comes into the pits as well, but Kaz Huguenot, he has got the jump at the moment in terms of pit stops, but Alex Gao should in theory come out. There is Alex Gao. Do you know what? He's jumped Alex Bennett. Look at that. The fuel saved. He hasn't probably had to put, maybe actually to be fair, he might not have put as much fuel in, but ultimately it's now a role reversal. So I wonder, and do you know what I would be doing at this point? If I was Alex Bennett, I'd go, not the end of the world. I'd sit behind and now I would save the fuel. Perfect opportunity here as well. So this is a complete role reversal. I wonder, I can't. I don't want to say it. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say what I think in terms of strategy here. I'm really not going to say it because I want to see how it pans out. But very, very interesting opportunity here for Alex Bennett, I think.
It is, and of course, one of the things as well from Alex Gao is he was able to get in his box before Alex Bennett, and I think that's where he gains some of this time, but we're talking almost a second. So there has to be there has to be something to do with the fuel around here as well, because there is no way he's done that just by the fact he's on a different position. Now all these cars here, it's going to be a little bit careless here. Well, not careless, but scary at the moment as Thomas Reiter trying to make a move on Ethan Batt. He makes it. That's a very nice move, to be fair. He had to do that around the outside of turn 1, the Courbe Dunlop, as they say in French. My French is not very good, but it is turn 1 to me. Makes that move that he's going to be behind Nick Madsen, who is quite a little bit back. I'm not sure what's happened there to Madsen, but in theory, that would put them, I'm guessing, that would put these two in the lead of the pros. No, it isn't. It's still that Madsen is in the middle of everybody, so that explains that. But while that is happening, you can just see the rest of the field, and I have got to admit, I am surprised that the number of yellow and orange we're still seeing in the Pro-Am. Everyone's coming together, and most people have come out together as well. So that is one thing to pay attention to, that we are going to see more racing on this second bit. And just look at this train. Look at it. It is just fantastic. And Cody Pryor and Shelberg is going to be using a pro driver there to help them tow. And they've got Joachim Yode and Will Richardson behind. So this is going to be an interesting battle, because Shelberg can use a pro driver to his advantage right now.
Yeah, certainly so. So obviously, currently your main focus is Cody Pride. Nick Madsen about 3.5 seconds behind. I wonder a little bit further down the field, though, what's going to happen here as Michael Patterman. Oh, I think he's got, and unfortunately, I think he does. Yeah, so he's lost a little bit of time. I believe he's lost a couple of positions. Yeah, so Daniel Gilding and Dan Sedgley both passing. So maybe possible slowdown, maybe not even a slowdown, maybe just a little bit too aggressive at the curb, maybe jumping over the curbs a little bit or something similar. Not 100% sure. Either way, Patterman unfortunately has lost a couple of positions. Yeah, have a look at Nick Madsen, because Nick Madsen here, he is in the pro category a little bit further down. Obviously, he's repaired some damage earlier on in the race. He's catching up to Will Richardson. Then you've got the interesting thing of Nick Madsen obviously having to get through the field, which will happen. It's going to happen at some point. So the really is, how is it going to happen? Because Madsen's got to get through, but the gaps are so close between everyone else. It's always that tricky one, isn't it? That you are well within your right to move past, especially if you are faster and you're in a different class. But you've got to do it tactfully, I think, is the best way to put it.
And what is the right tactic? Because at the same time, you're thinking to yourself, well, if I'm not faster than him, then do I use this as a fuel-saving opportunity if you're Thomas Reiter? Can he do that? Maybe. It's one of those things. And then you look at other drivers as well in the same situation. But if they've got a car that they're not battling with, can they use that to their advantage? For example, you've got Valentin Amblad that's right in the middle of Dean Timms and Sauerberg, which it's not very good for Sauerberg, but it's still at the same time, he could use that for fuel saving. And Amblad, though, he wants to get back up to that Pro-Am field, but he's able to fuel save when he's behind. So it's going to be interesting to see there. But again, the back of this Pro-Am field, a lot of orange on the timing tower, and you're seeing it now. Eric Benson, Tom Dandridge, Chris Wally, just going for every time. It doesn't matter what I'm seeing. Every time I see cars in a pack go around the Porsche curves, what do I say to myself? Dirty air, dirty air, dirty air. If you never understand dirty air, come and race behind the car at the Porsche curves on iRacing. That is the first time that you will really feel the difference dirty air makes. It really throws you off. It really does around those corners, and you almost go into the walls. Hence why in the real world, they push the wall back for safety purposes.
Did they now? They
did.
Right, there we go. I mean, it would make sense. You know, you've got to be pretty aggressive, and you've got to be pretty committed. Daniel Gilding. Oh, Daniel Gilding's off the Nomad Sim race in number 91. Where is that? That's coming on the exit of turn 2 even. Going into turn 2, I should say. What has happened? Has there been a bit of contact with Henning Haig? No, Henning Haig had his own moment. Oh, just about. Wow, manages to keep out the wall. Fair play. Here is Daniel Gilding. What happened here? So going in, could it be? Yeah, could it be just losing it on his own accord? Yeah, there you go. Oh, it's over the curb again. Oh, over the curb on the brakes. Such a tricky thing to do. And I say tricky thing to do. It's not. It's actually, it's easy to do. It is very easy to do in that sense. I do feel for Dan Gilding there. That's something that, again, I have done. I've been in that position. It's not very nice. It's very frustrating. But again, all that Gilding can do at this point, head down, crack on, and try and make some positions up again. Dan Gilding currently is sitting in. He's P13 over P13 in class. He's got 1.3 seconds to Chris Wally. So the gap is actually, he's got 1.8 seconds. So if we can pull that gap down, then that is going to allow him to catch up and obviously take a bit of a toe. Up into the battle for P4. Oh, Pedro has gone round. I wonder, has there been a bit of contact between himself and who was that? Was that Simon Dodd there was a bit of contact with? It may possibly have been. We've got a lot of replays to look at here, haven't we? Wow. So let's have... Yes, it was, I think. So there was a bit of possibly contact. Well, let's see what happened. Oh, no. Do you know what? I think Simon Dodd was just on the brakes and Pedro just wasn't expecting it, to be fair. Maybe a bit of overspeed going into the first chicane.
That's what it looks like to me. It just looks a little bit like a bit of overspeed. A bit of unfortunate there. I think he was trying to be in a position that he could avoid hitting and trying to still race. And Simon Dodd as well, trying to make a move himself so he wasn't getting hit or wasn't in a position to lose his position there. So that may have been...
As I think we may have lost Craig for a moment. I'm sure he'll... Oh, no, we're here.
I think I'm okay. Yeah, there we are. I don't know what happened there. I was about to say, it's interesting to see these gaps at the front of the field. Because the two Alexes together, then you've got Nedlick on his own, Kaz Huguenot on his own. Now those two, they're 4 seconds away from each other, and then 4 seconds away from that lead group. Then you get Frederic Proches there we're looking at. He's 17 seconds behind the leader. So these gaps have just really started to extrapolate and just go really wide in this pro field. That the only other battle outside the lead at the moment is Talasimi versus Harley Horton. Well, that was at the start of the lap, but Harley Horton being Harley Horton and just ignoring any type of fuel saving, overtook Augusto, and he is now trying to make his way up. And he is a fast driver. Can he be fast and fuel save at the same time? And it's the same when you think about these drivers when we're talking about getting back to the slipstream. They could get back to the slipstream, but how much fuel are they losing when it comes to that slipstream? As we're seeing right now, Daniel Gilding just battling Chris Wally as we continue to see these two continue to battle. Chris Wally, hold on here. Can he just get through? The dirty air is really hindering him. A bit more braking, a bit more turning needed. He does get through. Goes early there at the Corvette curve. He is struggling. And I think that damage is really starting to show. There's no splitter damage, but I think maybe that is affecting him a little bit.
Very true, yes. I think that certainly is affecting him, as you were saying. Danny Rates has gone off. What has happened to Danny Rates? All coming out of the last chicane. So the effect, eSports Orange number 55. That's going through down into under the Dunlop Bridge. Ethan Bass flashes furious in to say, please move out the way because I'm going faster than you. What happened here? Was there contact? Was it on his own accord? Let us have a look. Do you know what? It must have been quite a scent. Is it again on the braking? Just goes in. Yeah, there's the rotation. And off he goes with that spin. Again, very easy to do. Manages to get going. And he's now only a couple of seconds, about 3.5 seconds back from Nick Madsen. So if he can pull some pace up, there might be a bit of a battle going on there as well. We will have to wait and see. Down to the AM category as well. Edson Manguera up 2 positions. Currently he started in P13. He's now up into P11 overall. Ola Songfist has actually, he's made up 5 positions as well. Dave Meekin has made up 7. Bear in mind, this is overall. This is not necessarily in class. These are simply overall positions. Okay, but some battles starting to heat up. Again, it's sort of ebbing and flowing, as we like to say. We're just about to come to the halfway point. In fact, I think, we're not actually... we're not too far away from that halfway point. I think we've actually just gone past it, So that is the halfway mark. 35 minutes or 37 minutes will remain. And then, have I got that math right, or have I got that math completely wrong?
I think we're here on the maths. I think we're near enough on the maths at the moment. We're just gone past the halfway point. And it's interesting to see we've still got the battle for the lead of the amateurs. We've still got the battle for the lead of the pros. Even the pro-ams are still very tight. Though saying that, Shellberg not exactly been able to keep up with Svenny Mattis, but there are still battles going on in that pro-am at the front. Elvin Shellberg and Joachim Code battling, and Cody Pry as well. The three of them battling for the last two podium places at the moment. You can just see Joachim is now saying, I want to go for this, and the slow-mo Audi is going to be making a move on Shellberg. The LT Ferrari there, and the Audi really starting to show its wings here. It's really starting to be a force to be reckoned with. And you know, Albin's just decided it's not worth it. He's just going to tuck in. He's going to get the slipstream with that new look Ferrari, the splitter change from yesterday. And Cody Pry has the best seat in the house. He's got the double toe. He is having the time of his life at the moment, just watching these two. He knows if he makes one position up, he's on the podium. That'll be a great drive for this Porsche. And that is what he's looking forward to at the moment. And just look at that cockpit view. You can see the camera. He does see Nick Madsen in that rear view mirror. He does see that, but he doesn't have to worry. He just knows, lift, brake, take my time around Porsche. Just stay behind Kjellberg. Just stay behind Code. I can do this. If I just save a bit more fuel, maybe I can jump them at the pits. It does not matter what happens behind me. All that matters at the moment is just keep eyes on the front two.
That's all he needs to do. All he needs to do is just save the fuel. He's got a little bit wide though. That has cost him a bit of time. Again, the dirty air really having an effect. Nick Madsen, you can just see in your, Cody Pry's rear view camera, is just pushing a little bit, just pushing the back. So I wonder if there's going to be a position to be gained here for Madsen. So this could be the start of that long-awaited move back up the field. He's still got a fair way to go though to catch up to Victor Yard, currently in P10 overall. There's around about, I mean, that's a sizable chunk, around about 8 seconds. So that is a sizable chunk. Maybe less than that, maybe about 7.5. So I wonder, I mean, that's going to be a tall order. Certainly going to be a tall order to make stick, but it's not impossible though. Again, we have seen some very interesting things going through into at Le Mans here. Both have raced and commentators on it. So it's certainly, like I said, not over yet. Thomas Rater, though, he's, I would say, having a battle with Danny Raitt. He's trying to obviously make some positions up. It's actually good because he can lean on to Danny Raitt and he can lean on to his, he can lean onto the slipstream at the moment. Ethan Bass is only a second up the road. The good thing about it is the number 55 Raitt will get a tow, which means then Reiter will get a tow as well. Ethan Bass doesn't have a tow on Will Richardson. The gap is too big. It is simply too big. So I would be on the battle between Reiter and Bass. I would be in Reiter's corner at the moment.
But at the same time, Danny's only just caught up to Ethan. So going down the first part of the Unidades, there was no advantage. They were matching each other on speed. And I'm just going to see this again, because it is just under a second. There is a little bit of slipstream. Neither of them using the center of the track, and you can see Ethan Bass, that Ford. I don't know what he's done with that Ford. He does some crazy things with this Ford. Only now does Danny match him. So he's having to, if he's going to catch up here, he's going to have to do it using the corners. He's going to have to hope that he can do it on the corners. The sooner he gets there, the better for himself, the better for Thomas Reiter. Reiter would love this if he could get up there. The Panda Racing would love it if he can get up to that Ford. That would be handy. Now, in front, I do see Nick Madsen finally making the move on Cody Pry. I think Cody's had a little bit of a rough patch there through a couple of corners, and Nick Madsen has got past him. So, as Rats is trying to go around Ethan Bass, the only man that he's trying to fight at the moment has gone past somebody else. Now, we weren't looking at a lot of orange in the Pro and Pro-Am at the moment, but here's some orange and yellow with Ingo Lapsian at James Warren as well. What can these guys do? I think they're the closest big group in the amateurs at the moment.
They certainly are, and the gaps are already getting smaller. They're not getting any bigger, which means, again, we've got some really, really good racing on our hands. A bit further up the field, though, what is happening here? Joachim Code is going up the inside of Nick Madsen. And you know what? He's now split. So Code and Kjellberg are now split between Madsen in that number 14 Ferrari. Perfect positioning there from Joachim Code, because it's exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to make that gap. He wanted to create it. So At the moment, positions done and dusted, but anything can happen. We certainly know that. Again, as we have said countless times in the past, it is not over until that checkered flag drops. And even then, it's not necessarily over with other drivers. Alex Gall and Alex Bennett still both up ahead, pulling some positions. Still and pulling. Well, they're just sitting, again, just sitting there. They're not doing much. The gap between them is around 0.6 of a second, and that's all it's staying at. They're not overly fussed about racing at the moment. Again, the wise choice, I think, here, as half hour is just about to click down onto the clock with half hour remaining. And this final half hour, as soon as the second pit stops are run, that's when you will start seeing more battling. That's when you'll start seeing positions being taken here. Because half an hour, I mean, that's not all too much in terms of time, to be fair here, in terms of the number of laps that you've got. So if there's a particular overtaking opportunity for you, you haven't got that many laps to make it stick, really. You've probably got 7 if you're, if the timing works for you. Now, 7 opportunities for an overtaking maneuver into one corner. Now, normally you'd have that in the space of 5 or 6. You'd have that in the space of around about sort of 10 minutes at any normal track. So you've got a lot of opportunities. Here, not so much. Like, you've only got maybe 6, possibly 7. Not a lot at all.
Yeah, remember, it's, what did I say originally on the start of the race? I said it was a 38-corner track. Now, you think about it, not all 38 corners are overtaking corners, but there are a lot of opportunities. But each opportunity is a different approach. They're not all the same. It's not, hey, let's just get side by side and try and make that move and on a tight right-hander. It's sweeping corners. It's high-speed corners. You've got to just take your time. You've got to just be careful what you're doing. Just like Henning Haig is doing right now as he's right on the back of Simon Dodd. He would love to get that P4. It would be helpful for him if he could get that P4. But, of course, Simon's got Victor Yowen right in front of him. And that might be able to just play in Mr. Dodd's favour. But, of course, it is a pro driver pulling away from an amateur, so any chance he'd be able to use that slipstream has gone. Simon Dodd will have to be battling on his own. Again, some of these drivers won't be battling now. It will wait until the second pit stop, but we do stress that. Call it the setup. Let's just say the calm before the storm. A lot of these drivers will just find the right track position, but nowhere to go. And again, Simon Dodd taking the almost near inside line, then flicking back over just to not break the toe, but also just hope and set up that nobody can make the overtake. It's a good move, but at the same time, just all that weaving, it does not help you in terms of a straight line. You want to go fast, you go on a straight line. Unfortunately, doing this little bit of defense, I don't think he can do that, but we continue to look on. Look at this right now. Again, you've got the pro-am battling, and they've got a pro in the middle. I don't think they want to see.
No, not at the moment. It's staying where it is. No real position to get. But again, like I said, as now half hour has gone, we've got less than half hour remaining. This is, again, like I said, where it starts to all change. It's where it starts to all change and where you start to see this shift now in people's mindset. And that shift becomes, when do we start pushing? When do we actually start making these positions? And when do we want to make these positions? It's not too far away. It's certainly not too far away. As soon as that second pit stop's done, bang, off we go. And that's going to be a complete shift in driver swaps and driver mindset. Just having a quick look at the, again, up and down the field. So as it stands, you've got Gall and Bennett. The gap has continued to, it's dropped down a little bit actually. It opened up fractionally to about 5-6 tenths of a second. It is now since dropped back down. Kjellberg is holding steady in P3. You've got Dean Timms has been leading from very early on in the first on the first lap, and he has continued to lead for the most part up until now. So no one has made. There's a couple of people that made 2 pit stops. One of those is Victor Young. He has made 2 pit stops. You've also got as well, Stuart Reynolds has made 3 stops, unfortunately, so that's not good. Actually, have a look at this. Harley Hornton, you've got Harley Horn and Frederick Potesh, Augusto Cassiami and Max Furtwängler are all in the pits. So they're in the pits for their second and final pit stop. So it is kicking off now. I wonder if it's going to mean that Alex Gall, you may find, or Alex Bennett, they might make 1 lap. I doubt they'll make 2 extra laps. this will probably be the only lap that they'll make.
Yeah, I'm also just paying attention to the front of the field because all of a sudden, this two-car battle at the front of the pro field, it's started to be a three-car battle. Martin Nedlick has just thrown a 3:52.875, the fastest lap by a mile at the moment, and all of a sudden, he sees the car. Now that to me says one thing. He's on low fuel. He'll be pitting now. He hasn't been able to fuel save, unlike the likes of Alex Bennett, unlike the likes of Alex Gold. He can catch up to them, but he's got no chance to fuel save, and a little bit of a tweak there through the second chicane might affect him. But I'm thinking about this right now, and you look at this. A fast lap time means that what fuel is he saving? I don't think he's saving a lot. You can see that gap there. It's not a lot anymore. He's not getting slipstream. He's probably a few tenths away from getting slipstream. You can see it's 1.5, just under 1.6. He does have a chance to catch up, though. He doesn't need to be aggressive. It would not surprise me. I'm thinking about this. Just running the numbers through my head. He could jump, but it would have to be quite a fuel stop. But I do feel, as we've seen some of those pro drivers coming at lap 12, which is kind of the norm. They did 6 laps first time, 6 laps this time. These top 4 definitely will be coming in. And in fact, one name I have been interested in, Svenny Matters has gone an extra lap. Nick Madsen has gone an extra lap. Some of these drivers going an extra lap this time without fuel saving. So maybe that 6 laps was more of a gamesmanship or more of a tactic, because I've seen drivers go 7 laps now on a fuel stint when they couldn't do it the first time. So pay attention to those pro drivers. Pay attention to what they do at the pits. Martin Nedlick is a name we have to keep an eye out for. He could do something here. I think Kaz Huguenot, 8.5, 9 seconds behind the leaders. I don't think he'll be able to do anything to catch up here. So I think the pro battle is going to turn into a 3-car battle once they come into the pits.
It might very well do. I mean, the gap has come down. It's 1.1 seconds. Look at that. I'll tell you why. It's because Nedlick, he hasn't got any dirty air that's ruining his line through Porsche curves. So he's just pulled now 1.1 seconds now down onto. That is now down onto the back of Bennett. Do they all come into the pit? Do you know what? Oh wow! Alex Gall and Alex Bennett both managed to do another lap. That is impressive stuff. Nedlick wasn't able to do. I doubt he would have done. Again, he wasn't able to save any fuel pretty much in that entire stint. He's done well to catch up. However, he's going to be around about 3.5, 4 seconds away, I think, by the time that these two come out of their pit stop. So keep an eye out for that. That's what I reckon the gap is going to be. Anywhere between 3.5 and 5 seconds. Let's see if that will be the case. But impressive stuff from Gall and Bennett. Very impressive stuff.
Yeah. I'm actually quite surprised that they've not all come in, because that means they're doing 8 laps again. The two Alexes doing 8 laps out there, which I just think about it and I'm like, well, you haven't done it before. And whoa, Henny Haig almost going to close to the back of Simon Dodd there. Yeah, I'm just thinking to myself, can they? They can do it, but is that pace difference going to cost them? Because remember, Martin Nedlick was doing second and a half faster the last few laps. While those top drivers were both doing 54s, they threw a 53 in at the end there on their final lap before they come into the pits. It'd be interesting to see what happens. Now I'm interested to see why Henning Hayes decided to go for an overtake here when they're coming up to a pit stop formation. He's going to make it around the outside. Whoa. Can he hold it on to Indianapolis? Henning Hayes, nice move, fantastic, and good work by Simon Dodd, realizing the situation. They both know. This is a pit stop lap, maybe. No, it's into their out lap, sorry. Henny Haig wants to get a move on. I misread that. He wants to get a move on. And you can just see that was a cracking move around the outside into the inside of Indianapolis.
Impressive stuff. Very impressive stuff indeed. That was fantastic to watch. That really, really was. It just worked. Like, Henny Haig was just so committed going into Indianapolis. Like, you would have seen that on the onboard. It was just committed very, very heavily, which is absolutely fantastic, what we like to see. Alex Gall and Alex Bennett are probably going to be coming into the pits in a few moments' time, but the battling up in another field is still going strong. The gaps have started to spread out even more, but once people start now exiting the pits and after everyone's done their second pit stop, That's when it'll all start continuing up again. You can see on the left-hand side, it's just a sea of people pitting, pit entry, pit exit, you name it, it's there. So there might be a couple of close battles as everyone exits. And in fact, I think one of them is going to be Saturdag and Kidge. They're going to be quite close as well, and so's Gilding. Dean Timms has done his second pit stop, and he's dropped quite heavily. What has happened to Dean Timms? Something has happened to Dean Timms. What could it be, I wonder? I want to see if I can find a replay possibly of that, because something has happened to Dean Timms, and I can't see what. Actually, no, apology. Yeah, something's happened. Dean Timms has dropped from leading down into P4. I wonder if again that's just been not able to feel safe because he's been out in front.
I'm gonna put my money on that. Has to be. Because he had such a commanding lead. Something must have happened for him not to be able to do that. So we'll keep our eyes out on it. Alex Gal, meanwhile, by the way, has just decided to go side by side with Alex Bennett. They're side by side in the Porsche curves. Hang on 1 second. Alex Gal just gone around the outside of the Porsche curves to get his lead back. He lost it going down the Busan straight and gets it back going around the outside. And they will be coming into the pit. Very weird for this to be battling right now with the pits. We're going to see this quickly. Alex Gow, here he comes. Remember, he just lost the lead due to the pace. And look at that. Look at that from the VRS satellite driver. Around the outside of the Porsche curves, he makes it. And lo and behold, in they come to the pits. They lost half a second doing that. That's going to be one to be crucial of, to see, is that going to cost them? We know Nedlick is out there, but Nedlick is only approaching the Porsche curves now. Gow comes in. Bennett comes in. Huguenot comes in. Is there anybody else here? I think Stuart Reynolds will have to come in as well. He's just coming through the karting S's into Corvette. He's not there yet. Remember, this is one of the slowest and longest pit straights in motor racing. So they will take not a lot of time in the box, but getting to the box is the crucial thing. And look at that. Alex Gow, again, he's in his box first. Expect him to come out first. I will say that with a lot of conviction. I'm pretty sure about that. Martin Nedlick, 10 seconds, 9 seconds, 8 seconds. Gonna be close. It's not gonna be close at all. Alex Gow comes out. No! I was wrong. Bennett comes out first. And Nedlick is 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds. I can't believe it. I didn't think Daniel was right. But he said 3 seconds. He's 2 seconds behind Alex Gow. He's 3 seconds behind Alex Bennett. I'll eat my words. You were right, Daniel.
That's been from several races around here, again, just from experience. It's one of those things where you just start to learn, especially when you're out on circuit and you're on yourself, you're battling. You've got to try and work out these things because it's a very, you've got to do it on the fly as well. But at the end of the day, it was an estimate. It was a bit of a guesstimate estimate, don't get me wrong. But Alex Gow, the reason that he overtook as well, because he wanted track position going into the pits. It's always the worst thing in the world. If someone is in front of you going into the pits, if they go a bit slower than you, if you're confident that you can really drive into the pits nice and quickly and aggressively, you will gain some time, which is exactly what happened there. And I think that's exactly why Alex Gow wanted to make that move. It was committed very well, very, very well done indeed from Porsche Curves. But now, unfortunately, Nestle, he just isn't. This is now when you're going to have. There's two things that are going to happen here. Either you're going to have Bennett and Gow, they're going to battle, but they're not going to lose any time. And instead, they're going to leapfrog each other and they're going to pull away from Nedlick, or they're going to battle. Nedlick is going to come through and he's just going to win. That could just be complete polar opposites, but equally something like that could equally happen. All of these options, all these possibilities are so equally, there's so many different ways that a Le Mans race can finish. Absolutely so many different ways, and we really do not know. 18 minutes left to go as it stands. Around about 4 more laps, maybe 5. I think actually they might get 5 laps in. The laps are around 3 minutes 53, 3 minutes 54 for the leaders. So that could very well happen. So around about 5 laps left. Interestingly enough, though, have people put enough fuel in? Or because that's something that people, like, again, mentioning no names myself, have done in the past, is not put enough fuel in. Are we going to see that?
Oh, it's going to be interesting to see, because one of the key things, I'm looking at my overlays. I think other people are looking at their race overlays. I'm seeing 18.96 at the current pace. That doesn't factor in the pit stops, so it may still be 19 laps overall in this race, and we're on lap 15 at the moment. So it may be But if that 18.96 creeps over, that's an extra lap. And that plays into people because it's not a sprint race or an efficient race where you'll just fuel up to make sure you've got enough for that lap and maybe one more. Especially at Le Mans, you don't care about that extra lap if you know it's not going an extra lap. Because that extra 4 litres, well, it's 4 litres in an LMP, you're looking at a lot more when it comes to a GT car. But you think of how much time you spend in the pit box for all that time, and it will affect you. Now, here's this battle for 4th place. Joachim Coe. That is Ethan Bass, and that is Thomas, not Thomas Reiter, sorry, that is Will Richardson, who's just losing the slipstream. The closest battle at the moment in the Pro-Ams, you can just see Massey is just way ahead at the moment of Kjellberg and Cody Pry, holding on to that P3 very well. But you can see it looks like a train, it isn't a train. And here's a move, Svenny Matters there with Nick Madsen. The safest bet is just what he's done. That's a pro driver. He's not my battle. I can use him to just get a little bit of speed and start to pull away from Kjellberg, because Kjellberg is starting to get in that slipstream. Starting to get in there. And that Ferrari does look pretty quick out there today. So we'll keep eyes on that. I'm keeping eyes everywhere. It is very hard to look around right now, but in that lead battle, Nedlick is not able to keep up with the pace of the two Alexes. So it looks to be like it will still be a 2-horse race unless they both hold each other up. Now, what's happened to Dean Timms here? Trying to make the move.
Oh, just lost it.
Just lost it. That was so hard to slot in there. It just didn't work out for him.
It's a shame. It's like threading a needle in a haystack, especially when you've got a very rearward tail happy mid-engine supercar GT3 car that you're trying to wrestle around as well. Fair play there for getting and putting it, popping it into that position, like just slotting it in between. But at the same time, yeah, it's just that little bit of a little bit of rotation just caused that bit of that traction loss. Harry Wills, the other admin, has had another moment as well. Where is this? This is going down into Indianapolis. Is it going to be a snap? Is it? Whoa, that's a snap and a half. Wowzers. Is it going to be into the... Oh, that's a hit. Oh, that's a hefty hit. That's going to be some aero damage. I would put money on that. It's going to be a hefty bit of damage. Not good at all. Again, battling sort of up and down. Salterhow, we haven't seen much of him, to be honest, on stream. And do you know why? It's because the slow-mo Upnode Ultra number 98 is just sort of gapped everyone. The gap is currently sitting... actually, do you know what? He's not gapped everyone because Dylan Kinch is only about half a second away. I've just noticed this. Daniel Gilding's going to try and get through these drivers. Is he going to be able to? I don't know. That's the question. But Kjellberg's actually gone off the circuit, so that means that he would have... the gap has opened up between himself, and he's actually lost the position to Cody Pride as well. So Cody Pride goes up in a P2. Cody Pride, we haven't seen much of him either, but he's just trundled along, and now he's up into second place. So Sauter and Kinch are really battling quite heavy at the moment. I wonder if Gilding's going to try and get past both, and then Sauter is going to try and use that as a slipstream, as a tow. Or Gilding isn't going to try and get past the tool because realistically there's 8 seconds between himself and Eric Benson.
Yeah, if he's got the ability to do it without affecting these drivers, he'll do it. And that would be what he would go to. Also, by the way, just checking out what happened to Kjellberg. And Kjellberg, he may be out of this running full stop because he lost it going into the Essence de Terre Rouge to the point that we'll get to see on this now. Look at this. He loses the car. The car just snaps on him. He's on the gravel, and out there's nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. He tries it, and just that slide once he hits the tarmac, that is such a hit. And Cody Pride was lucky not to hit. That was just such a toast one.
Cody Pride is going to be... That would absolutely terrify me. I really hope he had... the colour of his race suit has changed. Wowzers. Because you see, I mean, at that moment, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if there's going to be any movement at all. There's going to be, all of a sudden, the car's going to come spitting back into the track. So I think Cody Pride just sort of hope for the best then. But you see a little bit of a wiggle there. Just to keep it straight. I'm sorry, that's made me chuckle, that has, because that was such a save. That could have gone so horrifically wrong. I'm so glad it didn't. Actually, do you know what? I just want to look at that from Cody Pride's perspective on board, because I just want to see. Here he comes. At this point, you're like, oh my God. And mind blown. Absolutely.
Please put the brakes on. Please put the brakes on. Please put the brakes on. And that is literally that. And he's been able to. Now remember, we're just looking at this. This is not a positional battle, but you can see that is Svenny Matheson using Nick Madsen to his advantage. I mean, he doesn't need to worry too much at the moment with Shelberg having that incident. Cody Price 6 seconds behind, so he can take it easy for a little bit right now. Svenny can just enjoy these last few laps around. And by the way, that number after it went to the pits, it was 18.96, it's 18.8. We're definitely having a 19-lap race around here today, and they're on lap 16. It's crazy. We're on lap 16. We're about to start lap 17 with 3 laps to go. It's kind of weird to say sometimes, and you realize with 10 minutes to go. Like I said, that is the nature of Le Mans. Not a lot of orange out there at the moment, but look at those crucial battles. That is Joachim Njoh with Ethan Bass for a battle for P4. Then you've got Alex Bennett and Alex Gow, of course, at the front. Victor Yowan and Reynolds as well. But this with Joachim Code and Ethan Bass. It's going to be interesting. What can the Ford do around Le Mans to make moves? Gone are the days where the Ford had a gearing ratio that allowed it to just zoom past everybody. But I'm really curious what this Ford could do. And that's a slow car. That's Elvin Kjellberg. Is he pitting, or is he just... No, he's just given... he had to slow down. And that's another couple positions lost from Kjellberg. So all of a sudden, this battle is for third place.
A third place battle within the position. I mean, Cody Price has got a 5.8 second gap at this point. So Cody Price, and this will be, I believe, we've been told in the chat as well, could be on for Cody Price's first podium of the season. I believe we are being told. We'll just have to see if that information is correct. I'm sure it is. So if, again, Cody Price hasn't got too long to go, and then that will be his first podium possibly secured. Kjellberg is still motoring along, but with that damage at the front, that was a hefty hit. This position actually last lap. Has he even got steering damage? I wonder if he's got some steering... Yeah, he's got some steering damage. That is... he might have... No, it doesn't look like he's got any steering damage. That will probably just be some aero damage, possibly. How quickly does Will Richardson catch up from the Avanti Racing BMW? He's catching up at a pretty rate of knots, actually, bear in mind. Because, as well, you have... Kjellberg has also got... He's got a toe, bear in mind. And he is being absolutely lunched at this moment by Will Richardson, who does back off a little bit. I think rightly so at that point, to be fair. Can't really do much at this moment. Has to back off, and I think this will just be an absolute breeze past.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a breeze past. I'm trying to look at these speeds, and yeah, that Ferrari is unable to get up to the top speed faster. It's not an issue of losing top speed at the moment. The acceleration is a bit of a struggle there for that Ferrari. So here we go. So battle for the lead. Do we have a back move? We have a move from Alex Gal there, making the move on Alex Bennett. A good little move there down into before, just on the exit there outside of Indianapolis. They will take that lead. Alex Gal finally got it back. It was going to happen. It was going to happen there from the battle. Can he hold on to it? We'll wait and see. Frederick Proches, it's well with Harley Horton.
Harley's up to fifth.
He's up to fifth. What is going on? He's managed to make that move as well. Same situation. Slipstreaming down and getting the overtake around the outside of Indianapolis. 2 overtakes around Indianapolis in the space of 30 seconds. What's going on?
Might be 3 actually here. Can he make it 3 for 3? Can Stuart Reynolds make it 3 for 3 round the outside of the Sim FX Racing? Oh, it doesn't quite make it though. Victor Yowan still maintained that position. I was more saying, like, you know, that was Harley Horton. Bear in mind, he had a...
Oh, he spun! He spun! Horton spun at Porsche! He spun at Porsche. It's all that work's gone. The car just said no. I have never seen a Lamborghini just lose it there. Did he? No, he just took too much speed and just went sideways. If we're going to see it on the replay right here, no, we're going to see Ethan Bass all of a sudden with this move on it. Just look at this at the moment. Can he hold on to it? It's whacking. Yeah, it's whacking code. He makes that move stick. Can he hold on to it? He does. All the moves happening in Indianapolis at the moment. But yeah, Harley Horton. Very weird. Just lost the car. It just slid out. So we see this replay right here.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen that. Not in a Lambo.
Depends. Like it depends on when. It could have been a fraction late on turning, possibly. That would be my only thing. that would be my sort of first theory. Is a fraction later on the turn in, and what happens is the momentum just sort of carries through the corner and carries through the car, and it just picks up momentum so quickly, and it just spits you. It doesn't happen too often in the Lamborghini, but when it does happen, it tends to happen pretty big. Harley Horton, I mean, damage limitation, continually had a drive-through penalty at the start for being ahead of the leader when he went, or at the start of the race, up to P6. I mean, you can't argue with that at all. I wonder if he's going to be able to catch up again to Frederic Pages. He's done it once. He's only got 2 more laps to do it in. So it's going to be a tough old order, but, I mean, it's possible. It's a second and a half a lap. Realistically, if you catch up a second per lap, on the second lap, you'll have a tow. And then you'll be able to catch him even quicker. So it's not out of the realms of possibility yet. I've also just noticed as well, this battle for the two-way battle for the lead has now become a three-way battle for the lead, very much so, because Nedelik does have a tow. Very much so. He's 6 tenths behind Alex Bennett. And Alex Gow and Alex Bennett are both swapping positions still. So it's all kicking off big time at the front. And Nedelik has a very, very good shot here of a win.
Nedelik is just looking in. All he's got to do is stay with the leaders. These two have been out in front on their own for the last hour. And all of a sudden, they're just starting a little bit racy. And when they start getting racing, they start to just push the limits and they start battling. Nedelik is the man looking in. He knows he doesn't want to get past his teammate, Alex Bennett, the comrades sim racing. They don't really want to go too aggressive on each other. But if Nedelik wants to be the Valtteri Bottas to his Lewis Hamilton, maybe he can, but he won't need it. Oh, I thought he was going to go for a move there, Bennett, but he realized it's against it. The middle was taken from Alex Gow. What can Gow do? Again, look at the lifting. This is the penultimate lap. I mean, I understand that you don't want to go yet. The question is, when do you go? Because this is the last lap. Now, this would be the last time on the Busan straight that they can make an overtake. Does he do it here and then think to himself, I can hold him off at Unidelis. I can hold him off at Golf. And if I can't, then I've got the Busan straight. When do you go? It's when it's Monza, when it's Nürburgring, you understand where you've got to go and you've got to wait it. And look at it. He goes left, he goes right. He can't find a way. When do you go? Has he left it too late, or is he setting himself up for a last lap overtake?
You've got to do it. The best place to do it is going down after Mulsanne Corner into Indianapolis. That's the position. Because generally what you can do is you can get past them on Indianapolis. You can then keep that momentum up. You can keep the momentum up going through Indianapolis, then down into Arnage. You all check up, naturally, as you would, especially if the people are close. All you have to do is you're not necessarily blocking them at all, but you just go through a little bit slower through Arnage. And generally, the people behind, they're not necessarily expecting that, and they have to sort of check up a little bit more. And then you get that little bit of a gap that you need going into Porsche curves. If you're in Porsche curves and you're in front, chances are you're sorted as long as you can keep a relatively clean and calm, collective rest of the few corners. That's the place to go. If you go any early, if you go into Mulsanne Corner, it's not going to happen. Unless you are incredibly brave and are able to hold it around the outside, or unless you are really, really well on the defensive. Going into Indy, it's almost a done deal. If you make a move into Mulsanne, you're going to get it instantly back on that last lap. It's so close. But this is indeed, as you say, this is very much the last lap. Although, is it going to be? Is there going to be one more?
No, definitely last lap. They crossed the line with 3 minutes 15 seconds left on the track. So we're seeing these battles as well as the last lap, and we're just seeing this battle here from Reynolds and Madsen with Svenning Massison just behind, just enjoying himself. I'm watching the leaders at the moment. Alex Bennett doesn't go for it on the first Busan straight, as expected. If he goes for it on the first one, that gives Alex Gow 2 chances to get it just down Busan. Busan, the last straight. Anyway, we're watching Svenning here. Svenning, he's just got to, knock on wood, just keep driving. He sees the battle in front. He doesn't need to get involved in that battle. And those two will battle it out and maybe go side by side down the Unideres. I'm just keeping my eyes as well on the leaders as we're just seeing Ethan Bath and Joachim Code. They're going to be having some battles as well. Leader battle at the front of the pro field. Again, Alex Bennett does not go for it. It's going to be a case here of battles. Here you go. It's just going to be playing chess. I think somebody's described this like chess. 75-minute chess. Well, We're at that stage now where your only pieces left are the king, a pawn, a rook, and maybe a bishop. When does Alex use that bishop? He goes for it now. He realizes this is probably the best place. A little bit risky because golf is going to be the longest straight. He will have to hold the inside. He holds on to this. He has to hold the inside. Does his teammate get the squeeze? Does Ned get the squeeze? He does not. Now that is some play there. That is a play that these guys from Conrad Sim Racing will want. They will want this now. Nedlick has to control here. If he battles Alex Gao, that allows his teammate to go on for the win.
It certainly does, but again, he's got to be controlled here because Alex Gao isn't going to give up this position that easily. He has to tuck on the inside, but he's got one more position. He's got one more chance to do it, and that's going to go through down into the start of the Porsche curve. He might get one. Is he going to get both? That's going to be the next question. The Ferrari is quick. The Lamborghini is very quick as well in a straight line. We are going to have to see Alex Gao. He gets a good run. Oh, a little bit of a slide. That's cost him a bit of time. He won't do it. He's too far back now. The gap is 0.3 of a second. It's not going to come down enough unless there is some absolutely outstanding, brave moves. I don't think it's going to happen. Harley Horton's actually just got past Frederic Poches again. I told you he would catch up and he might even look at pass and didn't realise he was going to pass so early into the corner. But just coming into the Porsche curbs for the final time. As it stands, Alex Gao, he is in P3, has been demoted a couple of positions. There's going to be Alex Bennett and Martin Nedgelik are going to go possibly across the line together. Teammates for a P1 and 2 at arguably one of the most tricky circuits here. But is it going to be for chicanes? Is there going to be a send?
No send. No send. Alex Gao realises that he's
going
to try it though. He's going to try late move into it, and then touching each other, and there's no room. Alex Bennett's going to take this victory. Martin Nedlick will take P2. No, it doesn't.
No, he's got slow down.
It just slowed down. It's the slowest race you will ever find at Le Mans, and Martin Nedlick does get it. Wow, that was absolute chaos at the end there. That's the slowest finish you'll ever see.
I wonder if Alex Gao, I wonder if he waited. That would be my theory. He tried to go for the send. No, it didn't quite work. I wonder because they would have both got a slowdown. I don't know if Alex Gao actually waited there and allowed Nedgelik to make that move. If he did, fair play. Good sportsmanship. Gave it a go, but unfortunately couldn't quite make it work. Down as well, like so, coming up to the AM leaders as well. So we did see, like I said, Harley Horton get past Frederic Poches, so that was a move done and dusted. Svenja Mattisson going through down into the chicane for the final time. As it actually just literally 2 meters up the road, Nick Madsen and Stuart Reynolds are going to battle, and it is going to be Nick Madsen that's going to go across the line. But Svenja Mattisson taking the Pro-Am victory. Fair play indeed. What a drive there. Very calm, very collected. All he needed to do. Here comes Cody Pride for his first podium, which again is a very, very stellar job as well. And then look at Ethan Bass, P3 in the Ford, with Joachim Code just behind, ever so slightly, couldn't quite make it stick, so Joachim Code has to settle for 4th place. Oh my goodness. Cody Pride with a 2nd, and then the Ford in P3.
Another podium for the Ford. What a drive there by him, fantastic. And Stauerberg for slow-mo. Once again, there's going to be a slow-mo driver on the podium. And Stauerberg is going to win the amateurs. A great drive there. It was a consistent drive. Didn't put a foot wrong. Did what he had to do, and the pieces fell around him. And he picked them up. He takes the amateurs. Dylan Kinch will come across and take that P2. And Henning Haig did get the P3, didn't he? No. I beg your pardon, it was Dean Timms. Henning Haig did not get the P3. What happened to Henning Haig?
I'm not 100% sure, actually. Simon Dodd he'll be coming across the line P5. James Warren just up the road in P4 in the lovely Martini-looking, the Martini liveried number 66, PPR Esports. He comes across the line. Then Edson Manguera will be coming across the line just behind Werner S. In P6 and P7. We're going to get you your full finishing order in a few moments' time. But wowzers. Well, we knew Le Mans was going to be good, and it certainly delivered, did it not?
It delivered indeed. I was just checking out what happened to Henning Haig. Unfortunately, it looks like he had a moment coming out of the Corvette curves, carding S's around that area where he just lost the car and it just caught the wall on the inside. And I'm guessing something must have happened there for him, which was unfortunate. We've just seen the last few drivers come across. David Meekin coming across, Jolan Sanvis coming across. I think Meekin is the last driver. He is indeed. So that will give us officially 36 cars will finish on the lead lap. It would have been 37. Unfortunately, Henning had to tow after an incident. Every driver is through. That means it is race official. What a race that was at the front. Like, not a foot wrong by the Conrad Gamings there. Alex Bennett and Martin Nedlick pulled off a blinder of a finish there. And fair play to Alex Gow as well with that little finish between him and Nedlick. They stayed together and he did give that position back there for VRS Satellite. Was in the lead for quite a bit as well. Kaz Huguenot will take that P4. Harley Horton, after a black flag at the start of the race, finishes 5th. That's a fantastic recovery drive. Frederick Podchek will finish in 6th, and Kalasimi will be 7th. And then other drivers, Nick Madsen in 8th. Stuart Reynolds was 9th. Victor Yowins was... Danny Ratz was 10th. Victor Yowan was 11th. Matt Furtwängler will be 12th. Nick LaBouche finishes 3 laps down after that damage. Harry Wills retired 6 laps down. 14 laps retired was James Armstrong. Sean Campbell was 16 laps, as was Milan Tikkanen, and Robin Veerman was 18 laps down. As we go into the Pro-Ams, Svenny Masterson finishes, look at that, 12 seconds for him there as Masterson wins over Cody Pride, who gets his first podium. And Ethan Batten, that forward for Texense Fitzsissy, will get another podium. Joachim Koh just misses out on the podium there in 4th, and Daniel Sedgley will be 5th, with Will Richardson 6th. Albin Schellberg, unfortunately, with that massive hit, he still cuts his P7, which is better than what could have been, because that was almost engine damage. Tomo Reiter and Michael Patterman, the Panda Racing drivers, will finish 8th and 9th respectively, and Daniel Gilding will be 10th. Then it's Eric Benson, Valentin Amblard, Thomas Dandridge, and then Chris Wally retired 9 laps down, and Chris Chatterton retired 17 laps down. And then when we come to the amateurs, it was a very weird, very, very up and down mix there, but Taylor Sauerhug does win overall for the amateurs with Dylan Kinch in P2, and Dean Timms had the lead for most of the race but finishes P3. And then it's James Warren in 4th, Simon Dodd in 5th, Werner S will take 6th, Edison Manguera will be 7th, Padeo will be 8th, Magna Yonlund will be 9th, and then Yola Salmvis will be 10th. 11th was David Meekin, and then a lap down with Henning Haig and Frederick Droy, and Ingo Lapsian finished 5 laps down. And I believe that is everybody.
That is everyone. That is everyone. Have we got anyone in the interview booth waiting to be spoken to, I wonder?
I believe we do not have anybody at the moment. I'm going to just stall a little bit because I'm sure somebody's going to run in and say something very shortly, but I don't think we're going to get anybody here, unfortunately, in such. Actually, I'll tell you what, as we've just said that, I think it's safe to say somebody's heard our calls, and once again, we've got a Ford on the podium. Ethan Bass, well done on getting back to the podium. A fantastic drive in the Ford.
Oh, I did not make that easy on myself. That was more difficult than it needed to be.
So tell me about it, because last time I saw a Ford around here, it was the old gearing ratios. It was a zoom, and zoom. It was high speeds and just took power. Nowadays, it's not the same. So I'm going to say definitely you were fuel saving, but it looked like it was a bit of a challenge to just keep up.
Maybe I've got more rake than all the others, but I like the rake I had to actually get it around corners, which was just as important around here as going down the straights. But I've got a feeling the BMWs have the legs on me, and they just massively gained in the toe, and I wasn't smart on that one. I tried to battle, I think it was Jochen in the Ferrari, and it was a mistake in hindsight.
Yeah, talk us through, because you had some battles all the way with Joachim as well. So, was that just an aim to stay with him, or were you trying to look up ahead? Because a lot of the time there was a lot of trains. So, was that your aim to stay with him and then wait for a moment at the end, or did it just the cars just fell in your favor?
More, it wasn't Jochen, my apologies, that was Albin in the Ferrari. He leapfrogged me into Mulsanne 1. I wanted to try and leapfrog him into Mulsanne 2, but I guess he just didn't want me elite in front of him. Maybe he felt he was faster, and I just should have backed out if seeing I didn't get the pass done at Mulsanne itself. What it did was let him break away from the toe, and then I just got destroyed by one of the BMWs. His car was so much faster than mine when he was in my draft, and I just had to let him and Eric Benson pass at one point and just fuel save behind them.
And the fuel saving we did see did pay off for you as well. But those BMWs, they would have just given you a bit of a hassle as well. But what was the dirty air like as well? Not just through Porsche. We always like talking about Porsche, but I'm guessing the dirty air would have also been a bit of an effect. I'm not saying Ford, tiny, BMW big, but where was the dirty air affecting you the most outside of Porsche?
I think into Tetrarus onto the Mulsanne is probably the place where you would most affect it, but I think because of the setup I put on the car, I didn't actually feel that much dirty air. I was never that super close to anybody into Tetrarus, especially because I just want the run out. There's no need to be right up close because you've got the whole Mulsanne to get a draft on them anyway, so it benefited just going a little bit earlier. You lifted, you did a little bit of fuel saving, and it paid off at the end. I'm surprised I gained so much on a couple of cars, and I was happy to pass Albin at some point during the third stint technically of that race. It was something I didn't expect to happen.
So, we're done with Le Mans. Next week, it's Road America. I always love asking this because it's the one car that you just never know. What are we going to expect from the Ford around Road America?
I think I'm going to have to give it all of the rotation in the world because it's the high-speed stuff where it really benefits. It needs to go through high-speed corners as fast as possible, but with all the really slow 90s, it's going to maybe struggle to get the speed through there, but it should be a decent balance for the car around the Road America. And again, I can just take advantage of a bit of extra fuel saving and maybe take like a split second off of my stops and gain just that a little bit and make it a bit easier, because the thing about that was I could have gunned it right out of the pit stop. I technically had fuel to burn on that final bit, hence why I got past the slow-mo Audi, because I could just gun it from point then. I didn't have to fuel save. This was the benefit of the first two stints of being smart and just picking my battles. I actually pitted early, but that's only because I noticed the BMW in front of me, went, okay, if I pit behind him, my pit stop's going to be really short, and I also gained a lot. Ended up just pulling away. And then I have to thank Danny in the Porsche and the Pro. He had an unfortunate incident, but he didn't hold any of us up as it came over the rise at Dunlop. That could have been a lot worse, so fair play to him.
Any shout-outs before we let you go?
I guess we're going to thank you boys for the broadcast. That'll obviously be great fun to watch. I enjoyed watching Interlagos. That was quite the climactic battle, and it wasn't quite as climactic. Cody had enough of a gap. I couldn't catch him in time. Maybe if it was one more lap, but if it was one more lap, I wouldn't have fuel. So fair play. And so I have to thank sponsors of TechSense, Renbel, Demon Tweaks, Fight Color Oil Cancer, Major's Garage, and Sim3D for the series as well.
Well, Ethan, once again, congratulations on another podium. It's great to see the Ford. We hope to see you challenge or have a challenge around Road America. And we'll let you go for the evening. And congratulations once again.
Thank you very much. Banging in consistent results is, to be fair, more important than getting outright wins. Is obviously it'd be amazing to get wins, but I've just won points. That's all I really care about. And we'll focus about where we are exactly in the championship come the last maybe 3 rounds. Leading the championship does nothing right now.
Yes, you're very true there. It's a marathon, not a sprint. All the best, Ethan, and congratulations once again.
Thank you very much, Craig, and thanks, Daniel, for the broadcast. I'll watch that back later.
Thank you very much. So, from one podium sitter to the winner. As we've got the winner of the pros, it's Alex Bennett there with, I gotta say, Alex, I think that was a mastermind of the final 2 laps there. Just talk me through it, because I think you realised you had your teammate Martin right behind you, and I think you used that teamwork to your advantage there.
Yeah, I mean, the whole final stint was tough because I had no idea how much fuel I needed in the pits, so I just had to guess, and actually ended up under fueling for the final stint, so I had to fuel save. Martin was crazy quick in the second half of the race, so yeah, it was good to have him there. And then it's just about we were trying to work out through the last like lap and a half how we were gonna both get past Alex without giving him a chance to re-overtake, and yeah, we picked the spot perfectly, I think, and we had some pretty good straight line speeds that made it a little easier. But yeah, I mean, the main thing going into the final couple laps was just trying to make sure that we didn't end up crashing and taking both of us out. But yeah, the final lap was really tough.
Yeah, and of course, I was saying on the stream as well, because with penultimate lap to go, you had numerous chances where you could have overtaken Alex on the straights because you had the rundown, but you decided against it. Was that just to save yourself for the last lap, or was that also just a fuel issue?
The second last lap was definitely a bit of fuel as well, but I think you always want to be, at least here, you always want to be behind going on to the final lap. It's so hard to defend when you're the car ahead, because the slipstream is crazy here. So yeah, I wanted to make sure that I was the car behind going on to the last lap as well, and then it was just about trying to pick a spot where both me and Martin would have an opportunity to get past.
Now, I know I got to talk about you and Alex, because you were basically together for the majority, practically the whole race, and not the first time you two have been together, as we've constantly seen you guys together at Indianapolis and at Daytona. Was that, I'm guessing there wasn't no plans between the two of you to just pull away. So were you surprised to see both of you pull away from the rest of the group at the start of the race when you were fuel saving?
I mean, there was obviously no plan going into it, but you know, straight off the bat, we had a gap behind us off the start, because the start was a mess, and yeah, we had a gap out of the slipstream. So at that point, you're always going to work together with whoever you're with in the early stints of these kind of races. I mean, at some tracks you might fight for position, but here where the slipstream's so strong, I mean, you just got to work with who's with you to try and keep up the pace and sort of fuel save together. So yeah, it ended up working really well for us, and we were able to keep the gaps the cars behind while saving a decent amount of fuel. So yeah, but I mean, we were, you know, I mean, there was points in the first stints where he was, you know, bump drafting me down the straights. So yeah, you just got to work with who's next to you on this kind of track, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So now provisionally you are the championship leader, and we go into Road America. Are we going to expect to see the same, or do you think you're going to be able to start pulling a gap on a track like that? Because while there is straights, it's not like a Le Mans or a Daytona. So are we going to see the same, or do you think we're going to see you finally get away from Alex and your little bromance on the track, as I've been calling it, just going to end for next week?
I don't know, it's pretty hard to pull away there as well, so I guess we'll see. I still think it's going to be a lot of slipstreaming, I mean, not to this level, but yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of slipstreaming basically every track all season, so it'll be tough to pull away. Maybe have to do something in the pits to create a gap, but yeah, I mean, I know that when I'm racing with Alex, that I can trust that he's not going to do something, you know, that I can trust that he's not going to do something stupid, so I don't mind being next to him on track. And yeah, if we're, you know, working together in a race like this, that's perfect for both of us, really.
Yeah. Any shout outs before we let you go?
Yeah, shout out to Martin for doing an amazing job on the final lap. So he did really well to make that pass stick.
Well, Alex, congratulations once again. Hopefully we see you next week, probably on the top step once again, but all the best, and enjoy your evening.
Thanks, man.
And quickly, just before we go for the end of the night, let's just bring in Dean Timms, who had a podium in the amateurs. Dean, it looked like it was going your way early in the race, but it just fell out at the end there.
Yes, it did. It was a really good race. Leading the AM class probably wasn't the best idea. Maybe should have just set station and saved a bit of fuel, because I was struggling a little bit at the end. Little bit of a hiccup with me pit stall. I cleared my windscreen, but I did it when I was in the box, so it gave me a little pause on exit. So when I came out, I was sitting behind Terje and Dylan. But I got a nice double toe up the second Mulsanne. A little bit of a lapse in concentration on my part, and then a half spin put me back to P4, but managed to recover it at the end. So good result.
Yeah. Are we expecting to see the same from you? Not the spin, of course. The same from you next week.
Road America, much like Interlagos was a bit of a weak track for me. Just try and get as many points as I can at Road America. Practice started long before. I do like to be prepped. And lap times are not too bad, so I'll just see what I can do on the day.
Yeah, I was just to say, if you got any shout outs before we go, we are a little bit.
Yeah,
my
sure.
bed is calling me.
Well, a shout out to you guys. You've done an amazing job tonight. Our sponsors, Sim3D, Go for the Gap, Race Anywhere, and to Eclipse Racing, my team. Just well done, guys. It was great to race with you.
Well, Dean, congratulations on that podium. Good fight back. Hopefully, we see a faultless racing you next week, and all the best.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Well, thank you, everybody. I think that will be it for the night. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching us on Absolute Sim Racing. If you like what you see, by the way, please hit that thumbs up and the subscription button. We're at free at the moment. The higher we go, the better we go for the subscription. So thank you very much. As Dean was saying, shout out to Race Anywhere and, of course, Sim3D and Go for the Gap. The Race Anywhere Transatlantic Series will be on later tonight on the channel, so get yourself ready for that. But for us, like we were saying, we are at Road America next week. So from myself, Craig King, and Daniel Hanover on the microphone and the cameras, thank you very much. Have a good night and good evening.